l67 top swap. So everything has got to come off. Heads, manifolds, intake plenum, air intake all the way, air tube. You can leave the air box there. You can leave most of the lower. Dampener needs replacing. One of the pulleys here will be replaced with a double pulley. Stock tension is okay, but we need to take out the whole water assembly, the heater assembly, once to get to the heads. They'll come off, then you put this one back on, and there's a different elbow bolt for the coolant, which I can show you. No, I can't. It goes into the new plenum a little bit differently. But otherwise it's generally straightforward. Wiring will be the most annoying part, putting it back together. I guess it's easier to take these off to get better access to the bolts for when you're tightening them up properly. It's only two bolts on mine. Holding it on. Drain the coolant. I'm leaving the oil in there because a bit of coolant is probably going to make its way into the oil, and we'll just dump it all together. New sensors to put in the plenum because the other engine will go back on my core that I have spare. So here's the sensor. You tap it in. There's the thermostat housing on the back of the L67, and there's your ECU. You don't have to, but I like knowing the temperature. Obviously it's good without going full digital gauge. There's a supercharger and everything else sitting there waiting to go. I've had the heads rebuilt, decked, and a valve job. No issues there. Leak down, tested everything, so it should be almost new top end. Look at the charcoal canisters routing. So we have this plastic pipe, goes into the only small top piece, goes through the plenum and plugs into the bottom. This one at the bottom. This one, the middle one, comes under the plenum, pops out here, goes into the throttle body. That's all I need to remember, because the wiring and routing is going to be all different. And that's got to come off. Alright, so I've got the surface prepped, I've cleaned the cylinder walls, wiped a little bit of oil on the liner just because of coolant and other things that'll contaminate it when first start up. Alright, so I'm putting new lifters in. I've got the Mace ones. I have no idea how good they are, but they'll be better than what I had because mine were ticking pretty bad. Mine had probably 300,000 plus Ks on them. I had pulled them apart and cleaned them, but it didn't make any difference. So I've had them soaking in oil for 24 hours. Doesn't matter if you leave them in there all week or just half a day. That's just the time I'm using. And there they are, soaking in there. So I'm only going to do one side this afternoon, and I'll do the other side tomorrow. Gasket on. I've gone the graphite one from Mace. People have got a mixed opinion on them. I had ones on here before and had no trouble with them. I'm using ARP head studs, and I'm only running stock boost, so there shouldn't be any, I don't think, issues in the long run, hopefully. So I'm doing the head studs, ARP. I'm using Permatex former gasket for the threads because they all go into the water jacket in the block. Giving it a 30 seconds in the open air before I put it in. And I'll do this to every single stud. Short ones on the outside, long ones on the inside. And then I'll get the torque procedure out once I get to that stage, but at the moment it's just installing the studs. At the moment it's just sitting on the dowels. And there you go, threading in. It uses a 3/16 Allen. Yep. Perfect fit, otherwise my Imperial metric sets don't work. You don't want to do any damage. P studs are installed. They're all hand tight with thread sealant. All 8 on each head. You have a washer and a nut, and you use their fastener assembly lubricant. It says to go to 80 foot-pounds, but in 3 stages. So you'll start low. I think I'll do like a 25 newton meter, then I'll do a 60, and then a final 80. Following Holden's assembly instructions. tightening instructions. They've got loosen sequence and tighten sequence there. Not too hard. So here we are. I've test fitted the supercharger. I still haven't got the parts for the valve springs yet. I've put the coolant pipe in. Because I have a column shift auto, you just wriggle it down and around and twist your angles. Make sure your trans, if you've got an auto, that is undone. I had the charcoal canister, whatever that thing does, off out of the way, and I had to put my car into a different gear just to get the column rod that's behind there just in a better spot to get it around. Otherwise it went around. I don't have mounting tabs on the back of mine because they're broken off, but I still have the two that mount to two of the exhaust headers. It should be fine because there's going to be a U-bend going down to the pipe. No problem, 2 hose clamps done. At the moment I am stripping the harness back on this side because you need to extend the knock sensor, the ignition wires, I believe the 3 injectors. I think the other side's okay. It's this side and the crank angle sensor and cam sensor, but we'll see. I'll sort of do a dummy fit because you can't have the wires come around that in here. It has to go underneath between the rubber hose. So that means I can already tell, see how the injector is the first hole. That's already a hand width away, so about 10 centimeters. It recommends to extend everything 15 centimeters. So you've got plenty of room. But at the moment I'm just going to strip it back and see what condition the wire's in. I have a spare harness from a VX laying around, but that all that wiring is the same. So I might be able to splice that in and keep the colours the same. We'll see. At this stage I'm doing the wiring extensions. So the main thing is you have the water temp sensor for the ECU at the back of the motor now, and same with the cluster is at the back of the motor. Here are these 2 wires. So one has 2 wires, that's the main water sensor for the ECU, and here's the cluster wire. It's just this single little slide-on clip. Now I've added about 400 millimeters onto that. It's probably too much because it's got to go back and under the thermostat just there. That's where I've got them. Otherwise these would have been right here on the front. I've also extended the crank angle sensor. It says 150 mils, which is about right. So here you can see I've spliced in just some black 7.5 amp wire, automotive and marine style wire. I've extended, what is this one, the knock sensor. So once again, there's the knock sensor, goes up under the passenger side engine mount. Just tried these things, but I prefer just normal clips with heat shrink. This 4-wire one is the crank angle sensor. So once again, 150 millimeters or 15 centimeters extended, just metal clips and heat shrink. And I'll obviously use this wrap stuff and more electrical tape to tidy it up. And the cam sensor, same thing, 15 centimeters of wire in between. And yeah, that's it. Oh, and the big one at the end, which I'm going to do another day. See how mine's broken. I'm going to cut these off right here, and I have another connector to wiring off the VT, which actually uses different colours. So here we go. I'll work my way down from the green side at the top down to there. The plug can only go in one way. See these little lines on the sides here go in to the DFI. So yeah. These are like $160 on the internet if you need to replace them. So lucky I've got this. I'll just use this wire. I don't need to splice in any different colours or just black. Not that it'll match up to anything anyway, so good luck to the next person. I've got pictures just in case for the future, so I'll know which colour wires go to what. Here we go. We've got assembly lube on all the top of the push rods. You can put some on the top of the valve springs as well, but these have been soaking in oil and everything, so I'm not too worried about that. I'm going to start it up within a day or two. 23 foot-pounds on all the bolts. I've bought Mace reusable ones, which use a 1/4 inch Allen bit, like that. So yeah, start from the middle, work your way out. Because these are new lifters as well, there's no pressure in them, so everything should tighten down pretty good. When there's oil pressure stuck in them, sometimes, you know, that'll spring up on you when you undo them. So just take your time, pretty easy. And yeah, and then valve covers back on, and that's that. Clean a bit of the oil that leaks down the sides. Good to go. So I've got this ready to go, blue RTV gasket maker. That's what comes with the kit for the spacer anyway. I've seen people on YouTube do it and they smother it on. You don't need a lot. It should be flat surfaces. You don't want to mush out into the you know, the airways, the pathways. So nice and thin, spread it out. You don't need to go over the whole thing because only these holes have air going through them. I don't think there's any water going through it. Or maybe one, this one here. It comes through here, goes through, and then comes back down, one of those. So yeah, same on the other side, 2 O-rings, they're just blanked. I've checked under the blower, they don't go into it or anything, it's just extra ports for probably something else, another design. Alright, now I'm just going to lift it on. I'll put my foot on the sump, and you know, because it's pretty far outreach to get to that. And yeah, not too bad. Make sure you've got everything behind where the blower goes done. I've already got all the hoses plugged in. The only thing that plugs in is a few vacuum hoses, and yeah, that's it. They're pretty easy. I forgot to put the gasket on, which I don't think you need to, but I have got it, so I put it on anyway. M8 by 1.25 by 50 mil. Majority of the bolts you need. The front one you need 60 mil if you have the Mace spacer. The back right one you need about 45 mil. The back left one you need about 45 mil as well, I think it was. So yeah, 8.8 strength bolts. If you've got the original ones, the original should work with the 6 mil spacer, but I didn't get any of the original ones. I just had random bolts holding it on with the motor I got. Fuel rail is on. You have to cut out the middle support because that height is enough to not let you push the injectors down far enough, because it pushes up against the whole thing. But yeah, just enough room. Mace reckon that's all you got to do is cut that off. I've extended these wires. I probably need to extend this back one. The other two here are still stock and original, so that's good. You need a different alternator bracket, which mine didn't come with, so I'll have to bend an older one up or make something new. Alternator, we'll get to that. And yeah, this wiring. So you can leave the stock wiring down the bottom, but I'd already spliced that. You need to make it longer up here. Now it said 15 centimeters. I would just put 30 centimeters in the middle here. Just cut it here, add 30 centimeters. Because when you've got the rail and injectors on, everything's very tight. Now I've got so much room, the whole harness can move around easily. I can mount it here and cable tie it back here to just around that. So there's way more room to work on and flexibility. Whereas this one, you can extend this and gain a bit more movement, but you shouldn't have to. Just if you want to get the rocker cover off, just disconnect the harness and you should have enough wriggle room. Is where I'm running the boost gauge. So I've been under the dash, pushed this up through the firewall. I had a hole drilled there already with a rubber grommet, so push that through, come out above the accelerator pedal, up and over everything, couple of cable ties, easy as. Now the Holden ute has a demister wiring behind here which has 12 volts with the key. So I've tapped into that. Pretty easy, just get a voltmeter, find the black wire and then find the positive wire. You don't need a diagram. There you go, just plugged into that, a couple of spade connectors, and the boost gauge will plug in. And I've got a eBay insert there, 3D printed one. It's about 50 bucks I think. So yeah, that's that part done. Go over and just build some oil pressure. I've taken the EFI plug out, the relay, so it shouldn't fire, just crank. Everything's plugged in. It's not an L67 alternator and I don't have a connecting pipe yet to the airbox, but I've got the MAF connected anyway, so when I do try and fire it up, it should technically work. I have no idea what condition these coils and DFI plate are in, so we'll see. Alright, no noises, nothing, all sounds good. Alright, let's see what it does. EFI's plugged back in. Readjusting its idle. You can see the blower spinning because it's sucking air through it. I don't have the right length belt. I had to get a centimetre longer one because of the Mace spacer. But fires up. It's not ticking away like it did before. Hell yes. And the coils are working at the moment. Hell yeah. Alright, so I'm waiting on blower pulley belt. I've got to get a new pipe made up, or I can find a second-hand one. But yeah, just the little stuff. It takes forever. But it starts up, it doesn't tick. Oil pressure was there straight away. Obviously no alternator, so it's giving me a flashing light there. Yeah. I'm surprised, everything just started. It'll probably run like crap until I get that belt, until the throttle body and all the sensors readjust. But yeah. Awesome. About this while it's fresh in my head. Because I was missing all the pulleys and mounting brackets for the supercharger belt, the only things that were correct was this one and this one, the tensioner and the idler. I bought this one, but I was missing the bolt, so that's why there's a washer stack there, but it doesn't matter because the bolt had too long of a shoulder, so it's still the same tensile, just yeah. Anyway, down here's the different part. Because I have the NA motor pulley bracket, I think it's slightly to the right a bit more, whereas it needs to come over closer to the water pump to have clearance between here. Luckily, I had a spare old tensioner with a good bearing. This pulley fits straight on there. It's a smaller size, it doesn't matter, it's just an idler. And makes the belt going on a lot easier, and I'm halfway through the travel on this, so there's still plenty of room left. And if the belt stretches too far, I have a 1755 stock motor size belt, which will replace it. But otherwise, I've left that wiring exposed because I still want to cut that, but at the moment it works. And for testing purposes, I'll just leave it like that. The only thing I've got left to do, but it's not important to run, is the alternator support bracket. I didn't get one, of course, so I'm going to chop up an NA motor one and weld and bend a new one, which shouldn't be too bad. It's just a piece of shit metal. But yeah, what's left? I would like to get a different airbox, one that preferably is stock, that goes over the radiator with the bigger opening, but at the moment we'll just leave it like that because it works. Yeah, boost lines are done. I've run it from the front under the blower there, behind the alternator, with the ignition leads up and through the cab there, because I've got a hole there. I probably already spoke about this. Coolant's in there, but obviously not bled because I haven't started it with the belts on. Let's see if it all works. First start with the supercharger belt on this motor. I've had it running without the belt, but we'll see. Everything looks aligned, nothing's off. Working. I'm not going to rev it up yet because just let it go. Let it self-adjust. Oh.